On June 24th, the regular board meeting for the Vernon Hills Park District Board of Commissioners. Could I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Senti? Here. Commissioner Robbins? Here. Commissioner Moline? Commissioner Kessler? Here. President Dorhofer?
Here. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item on the agenda this evening is the omnibus vote agenda. Items under the omnibus vote agenda are considered routine and/or non-controversial and will be approved by one motion. If a separate vote on any one item is desired, it will be pulled from the omnibus vote agenda and voted on separately. Items included in the omnibus vote agenda for this evening are the minutes of the annual board meeting dated May 27th, 2021, minutes of the closed session dated May 27th, 2021, payables and payroll through June 24th, 2021 in the amount of $545,488.89. Can I have a motion to approve the omnibus vote agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Kessler?
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
Commissioner Senti? Here. President Dorhofer?
Next on the agenda is the welcome to visitors public comment period. Seeing as we have no one with us but ourselves, we will move on to the financial reports for the period ending May 31st, 2021. Marla, any changes to the reports for the period ending May 31?
As filed.
As filed. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is unfinished business. Seeing as we have none, we'll move on to new business and Williams Architects. Tom, if you could go over to the podium and address the board in regards to your letter of agreement and proposed exterior outdoor fitness canopy for Lakeview Fitness Center.
Well, thank you. Thank you first and foremost, Tom Polis for the record, Williams Architects. And want to just mention that it's a pleasure to be here this evening and continue our professional working relationship on this exciting project. Here to answer any questions as it relates to our proposed letter of proposed agreement and present the, I'd call it in-progress design, schematic design, which includes the exterior and outdoor fitness Group X area. What would you like me to start out with first, with the outdoor fitness Group X area, and then move into the
Yes, please.
contract discussions after that? Sure. So in front of you, you have what was presented probably a while back, most likely through staff and through the progress of our design leading up to the exterior, which shows here in prominent location the fitness center expansion to the Lakeview Fitness Center, and included in that is the outdoor fitness deck, which is a extension of the program to the outside for consideration. I'm going to go into that a little bit more. There we go. So as our work on outdoor fitness dates back to 2002, 2003. It started as a trend at that point in time. Excuse me, at that point in time. We worked on it with some local projects, but more prominently down in Carmel, Indiana, at the Monon Recreation Center. You can see it there in the foreground. It's the outdoor deck. It's multifunctional. In other words, it also serves as an outdoor ante-space for the multi-use rooms. And, oops, gosh, that's a lot of words. Here we go. But here you can see it in its full kind of glory of outdoor fitness. It's taken off for them, and they actually schedule this pretty much throughout the year and 7 days out of the week, morning, noon, and evening. Whenever they're having rentals in there, of course, it's not used as an outdoor deck, but I just wanted to point out that in this case, it's pretty much a serene setting. It's up against the woods. It's with nature. It really provides for some quiet ambiance, and yoga loves it here because they're separate from what I call the lower level decibel or low decibel levels that kind of interrupt their mind, body, spirit exercise. And it's just truly, it's a way that fitness started to move outdoors as far as we were concerned in recreational trends. Right around 2000, Lifetime Fitness came in, figured it out, started doing it on the outdoors, taking their classes outdoors and creating extra spaces and extra opportunities for outdoor fitness, and actually did upcharges with it. And so the public side of it started to grasp this concept as well. In Newport Richey, Florida, we built this facility without an outdoor fitness at first, but we had to add it because it was so popular. And yeah, Florida's hot and it's warm and it's a good place for outdoor fitness, but it also can get pretty oppressive in the summer. But they still love to be out there at the end of the day. So this deck did not have cover, and it's limited in the summertime for availability of use because of the lack of outdoor cover. But it was something that they wanted to incorporate. And then I wanted to show a project that had outdoor fitness deck that's local to the area here in Naperville, Illinois at the Fort Hill Recreation Center. Because we had an outdoor fitness deck, you could see it there in the foreground, the rooftop, without any programming going on it. But we actually structured it for expansion. So even though we built something that was for an intended use, they ran out of space, and about a year later, we had to expand and fill that space up with indoor group exercise because they ran out of space. So what I'm trying to say is, you know, if push came to shove, you could enclose that space with a little bit of extra effort if we put a little bit of thought into that. So it could become part of an indoor space. Of course, you'd have to expand your mechanical and things like that, but it was pretty seamless to expand that on a second floor on this project. We're working currently on a project. This is in Upper Arlington, Ohio. And of course, it's a rooftop outdoor fitness deck, but it was certainly welcomed by the community. This was an 80-20 vote in favor of this community center. They felt this was a big selling point of their outdoor fitness, not that it passed the referendum because of this, but because of the outdoor, the opportunities, both from a recreational perspective as well as fitness perspective, they really felt they listened to the community in terms of what they were looking for here. Then there's another project that we wanted to know here. We didn't have anything to do with this, but it was in Santa Monica, California. It's a community center where outdoor fitness was a must here. It was with one of our colleagues that worked on this project, a partner in the business planning side of things. So showing this one as another opportunity that takes off. So I guess I'm saying pretty much across the country, this is a growing trend. Where you could put it in and where it makes sense should be considered. Of course, we're just giving you the information here so you can make an informed decision. But I would also say, we're here to answer any questions you want, that we're going to be back on the 12th of July with our full schematic design, where we're going to synthesize the design and the cost estimate and bring to light here our recommendations. And you don't have to make a decision on terminating this at this stage of design, because at the end of schematic design, I think it would be appropriate to tell us what you're thinking. At this point in time, you know, we got a few more weeks to carry everything through and present everything as a bundle to you. So again, you can make informed decisions. But that all said, I'm willing to answer any questions you all have about this particular element and the facility, because it did come after the park grant. This was part of our kickoff meeting discussions. It was something that staff started to see as a trend and that they've been using on a temporary basis. So the program piece of this, there's a need, obviously, from what we hear, but as part of the revenue goes, you know, I would bring this back to your staff and see what that means to you all from a return on investment perspective, because I think it would take some data on their part to show you what that means from a revenue capture perspective.
Any questions for Tom? Go ahead, Bruce. Commissioner Robbins.
Do you have an estimate of how many people that can use the outdoor facility?
Yeah, so we've sized it right now for 26 to 30 people. 30 would be a little tighter, 26 would be at a very comfortable level. Participants, that doesn't include the instructor.
Okay, because that first picture that you showed us, I don't know if that was Indiana or whatever, it seemed like there was a lot of people out there.
Let me go,
In that.
Carmel?
Could be.
That's a lot of people in Newport Richey. You know, no, that's
about right.
pretty close to 30 people there.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I would say the one that really looks like a lot of people is right here, and they do have an expansive deck in Newport Richey, so they're probably more than that.
And if we did this, would this be the area that we would use 100% for outdoor exercising? Or are there other outdoor spots around the facility?
No, it's specifically designed for outdoor exercise. Now, you know, that's a question for Lacey and her team at, you know, whether they have other functions, you know, potentially for the use. But that's primarily what we're looking at using it for. Right now, we have one indoor Group X studio, so having the capability on, weather like we're seeing now, where it's decent outside, that you could still have a class outdoors and you could have a class indoors too. So we would be able to have multiple options of different classes that we could run simultaneously. Right now, we're limited to that.
Commissioner Kessler?
So, first off, I thought the design portion was very interesting. It made the building look a little bit more unique. But I do have a bunch of concerns after thinking about it. So a couple of them are that you have the parking lot and you have a walkway going right up to that. And that's something I wouldn't want people to be doing. I'd want people to go in through the check-in process so we know that they're coming in. And it's open, so it's that barrier. The other ones seem to have a little more of a fence around or some kind of gate to deter that motion from happening. The new design, we're already adding a second indoor classroom. So we had one, now we're having two. This would actually be a third one.
Right.
So it's a big portion of expense that we're going through to add a third one. And again, our membership is somewhat small, and we have a lot of members who, or I don't know, but I want to know exactly what percentage of our members use classrooms. Some just use all the facilities and don't do that. Also, in some of the designs, you have such a nature, and they're looking out, and we're kind of looking out over a street, so it's not quite, I mean, I know we could put some greenery and make it pretty, but I have a little concern about that. Almost the backside by the pool is a prettier view with the trees and things like that. And then just the logistic portion of it. If we're going to have to buy, in addition to the cost, I mean, the equipment, we're going to buy another whole set of stuff and storing and bringing it in and out. So it for me, it led me down the path of where else could we be spending this money? The pool is something that's used year-round. I think there's a lot of people who use it. Maybe we should make that area, the spa area, put more into the tile, or just, I guess I'm weighing the cost of it, and I see value in it, but I think we could almost spend it in a different manner. So those are my concerns.
Fair enough. All valid.
So looking at the pictures you've provided us with, the flooring doesn't look, we had talked initially about a cushioned floor, a poured-in-place floor. I know we've kind of gotten away from that. What types of flooring are we looking at?
So we were thinking concrete to give you guys the flexibility here, and people bring in their own mats and save the money on a specialty flooring that's just unique to that area.
But what do we see like there? Is that
Just-
concrete?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
stamped concrete. So we can make a decorative concrete. It gives you versatility for other uses. I mean, right now, we're, as you charge staff, would this be primarily Group X? Yes. And if it fills the calendar, it fills the calendars. You can't get anything else in it. But if you don't fill the calendars, it's good to have flexibility to be able to do other things. And so the more flexibility we provide, and even though it's going to be specialized, it would have fans, it has cover, it had plug-ins for your audio system. So, you can use the same audio from the inside, just plugged in and run it from the outside. And things like that. Those things are also very nice for if you had just a lounge waiting area outside or something like that. That those aren't bad things in summer for gatherings or breakout from fitness. We've seen that in facilities. It's not like a must, but sometimes people like to get out and have a little beverage and things like that. So those are the ancillary things you can work in if the schedule permits.
So just, I wanted to follow up, Cindy, I know one of the things we did take out, and you'll see this in the schematic design, is the walkway that we had initially in the plan that connected. We removed that altogether. So that, again, I think that was something we heard from the board about just the check-in process, if you will, that people would just park their car and go right to that. So we nixed that. So that's removed. The landscaping part of it with the design is just around the perimeter of that piece is going to be fully landscaped. I know there's some berms that we were looking to take down so you could get just, I think, a better aesthetic view from the street level. But at the same time, like, James and Rick have talked about adding some additional trees. So at least I think from a view from the street, we're gonna make sure that it looks, very pleasing to people as they buy. So I think those two things I know you had talked about. And then just, for me, I think it's a Lacey question to follow up in terms of the percentage of users that we have right now with our Group X. Like, what amount of our membership are just coming in and taking classes? And I don't know if you know that, Lacey, offhand, or we've been able to track, but we can certainly track that. And from right now, I think, as I addressed with the board earlier, obviously, I think the staff is very, very high on this as a real nice potential to see happen. Lacey and her team have, talked to a lot of members, and we haven't shared designs with anybody, unless people are seeing it, from the public, what we shared with you a couple months ago. So at this point, it's more just, through just word of mouth, how do you feel about if we did something a little more permanent as an outdoor versus a tent, over the asphalt parking lot? And people are really, really high on it, as well as instructors. So the current free weight room that we're looking to convert is about half the size of the existing Group X. So from I think we were talking about doing a lot of like spin classes in there and leaving the bikes in there almost permanently, and doing like smaller yoga type classes where you're going to have a group class that might not exceed more than 12 to 15 people at tops, where the other studios can do 25 to 30. So more of an intimate look in terms of, from a programming standpoint. So I just wanted to kind of share those thoughts with you in terms of what we're looking from a programming standpoint.
And I, the point about a barrier around it, just from a control perspective, that could certainly be looked at as well. Give it a sense of intimacy, some type of railing around it. There's not a fall, so to say, but from a security standpoint, you might want that for all sorts of reasons.
You mentioned fans. I assume we're gonna put fans, misters, or something to make it tolerable in the hot days?
Yeah, the fans, I wouldn't spend the money on the misters in this climate. It's gonna be pretty seldomly used.
Okay.
And, building that sweat is part of the routine, but the fan is a good idea. Now, if you're gonna have a full-time beverage thing out there, yeah, I'd say let's think about the misters. I think that would be more incidental use depending on what Lacey comes up with on programming there.
Lacey, what are you finding out from talking to people, from your experience, from the competition in the area? How many Group X rooms are we looking at? If we had 2 versus 3, what does that buy us? At the end of the day, it's about getting the bang for the buck. So we're gonna get 2, which, as Jeff said, we may look at, something like a spin room or something like that. If we do this, what does it buy us from a facility standpoint?
Well, on top of adding more group exercise classes, we're really struggling to be able to find space to add anything for paid programming. So just regular adult programming. People have asked for Tai Chi, Bollywood, all those types of programs that we don't really have the space to be able to offer. So on top of being able to expand our group exercise program, we would also be able to add more paid programming.
When you look at facilities and Group X rooms, and you look at Lakeview Fitness, where is the challenge? Is it quality programs? Is it timing? Is it facilities? Where's our gap? Or where's our block?
Right now it's space, so the only kind of quiet space in the facility is the Group X studio. So if you want to have any sort of yoga, you're either going to be outside or in the studio, and you're limited by weather. So we're definitely limited by space.
Okay. Commissioner Sente.
Thank you. I have a few questions. You mentioned that the flooring was concrete. Is that did I hear correctly that that is the most flexible?
Correct. I mean, to go with the rubber flooring starts to add more cost
Yes.
and gets a little more specific in terms of its use. So now it's only Group X, and if you wanted to put chairs and things on there, it's a little tougher on that, you know, unless we're gonna get a vinyl flooring or something like that, which would never adhere out there. So I worry a little bit about specificity and a cost perspective and doing the cushion floor. That was something we looked at with the staff, and at the end of the day, a lot of people bring their mats out there and they're prepared with their shoes to take on a little bit more of the harder surface for that type of exercise. And I know maybe Lacey, you could speak more to it on how you guys program that right now from the outdoor perspective, but you're on the asphalt. And what do people, I mean, that's hotter too, you got no cover over you, so I mean, I'm sure a lot of the complaints come in on the heat aspect of it, but, you know, do tell, does the shock absorption and stuff like that become a big complaint?
It does, because of the demographic that we are serving. We do have kind of an older demographic that tends to use the facility, so unfortunately, the impact of being on the concrete is not kind to their joints. So, this past year, we've been challenged with, we can only be outdoors, but then people are having a hard time on the concrete, and then when we were able to come back indoors, some people weren't ready. So, it's something that we've experienced just this past year, but yeah, being on the concrete is not very conducive for the larger demographic that we have.
So, Tom, it's more flexible if you're going to use it for a non-exercise
Correct.
purpose.
Right.
But if you're going to use it for all exercise purposes, it would be more beneficial to have.
A rubber,
Right.
some type of rubber flooring.
And then, could we on the 12th get a cost separated out for that flooring, just to see what it
Sure.
is?
Yeah.
So thank you. In terms of a community our size and a building our size, I don't know if you just have a gut feel, do you think that if we're to go with the space, that we've designed the right size? Do you think it's a little small? Do you think it's a little big or just right?
I think for your community, it's the right size. If it was gonna double over to be something different, I'd probably look at that aspect of it and look at the maximum attendance out there. So if there's another event that would happen there, and we're not talking for Easter Sunday, but something on more of a regularity, then we should look at it. But if for Group X, 30 people is a good size Group X studio. We are actually currently working on the design phase at Glenview Park Center to transform their outdoor deck into something that's a little more specific. Even though they're gonna hold multi-use functions in there, they're looking for cover and for more year-round use, so it's kind of a trend catching on, and just wanted to note that as well.
Okay. That's another one of my questions. You said that you see this being done. Do you think it's even going to grow more and become more popular? Do you see any signs of that?
Yeah, especially after COVID, right? I mean, so people are trying to find reasons to distance, use the outdoors as an opportunity and an avenue. So if they can get the same level of experience but be outside, we're seeing that as a desire.
Yeah.
The remote kind of stuff is also happening, in all honesty, so you can do remote fitness nowadays from the home with an instructor, and those things are being offered, but it's not the same. People are gravitating to getting back together, but their first level of, wow, I'd love to be outdoors, but getting back together, and especially when the weather is right. I mean, there's definitely 4 months here where it's not right? But for the most part, those other months, you can work those in.
Thank you. And then the last question is, do you feel like there is, again, in a certain weather-dependent area of the country, that you're seeing more of it? Is it more prevalent where it's hot all the time, or the moderate temperature?
Yeah, I would say the moderate temperature, it's certainly more popular in the moderate. The heat is just like the extreme
Yeah,
of the cold,
right,
right?
right.
That's an off-season balance, so to say. But the moderate temperatures like a California, Northern California climate, that's like, it's a must-have out there. Almost every facility that gets designed, gets designed with one. Same with, believe it or not, Colorado, because
Yeah.
that's a pretty moderate temperature there, I believe.
But you are seeing it also in the Midwest.
Yeah, absolutely in the Midwest. You know, like I said, your neighbors here are calling on us as, they're looking at it as part of bigger projects, right? They're not gonna just add that group expo. So when they're looking at redoing their fitness, which Glenview's looking at, repurposing some of their space, and this is an opportunity for capture, then 100% they're throwing that in the mix for consideration.
Thank you.
See, my mind goes to, I'd love to find a way to put not remove, but sliding doors, so that when it does get temperate, you shut and you can use that room all year round. And when it's beautiful out, you know, whether it's May 1st to October, we slide the doors open, we lock them open in place, and
Yeah, that would be a nice attribute.
'cause I struggle with.
Four seasons room.
Yeah, I struggle with spending a lot of money on a place that we're gonna use for, you know, and Lacey, you can answer this. What was our attendance like during the summer, when it got to the June, July, August? What was our, you know, did we see good attendance in May and April, May, early June, and then it drop off when it got to be in the 90s, or?
From last summer? Or
Yes.
From, no.
It was consistent
No,
throughout?
It was pretty consistent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Commissioner Kessler?
So I think it's hard to make a comparison of dealing with the pandemic and what the future will be, because people were in a different situation. They were willing to be outside just because they missed being in the group. I think you guys did an excellent job of accommodating, getting people there, making it a community, and kind of we're all in this. So I think that was just excellent. Moving forward, again, along with Dave's comment, is this really, we only have so much money and we have a lot of things we want to do to the facility. Is this the best spot to put it in? It is taking a big chunk of it, and, is this the best one, especially if we don't get the flooring and this and that, and I still struggle with the location of it. I just feel like it's next to this big open room, and then we have a glass door and we have this, and it just, like, then people are walking around through it. It almost should be pushed over by the other center where the other group exercise classes are. And I'm asking for something kind of off, but I'm thinking if it was at that location, then you share all the equipment, people are in and out of that whole area. I had another point before I just rambled on, but it'll probably come to me. I'm sorry. I'll just stop.
Commissioner Robbins?
I know we're not voting on this this evening, but if we did, I would be against doing this project. I would rather take, as Commissioner Kessler said, their first comments, I'd rather, if we're going to take $153,000, I would rather do it on the inside where we can get the use out of it, 12 months a year, instead of something like this where maybe we can get use at half of the time. If we're gonna spend an extra $153,000, then I would rather try to find something that would really make our facility a wow facility and attract more people.
So the park grant we received that's going towards this facility is primarily a brick and mortar type grant, correct? Okay, so making things pretty on the inside isn't an option for, it is, but as part of the money we receive from the state, it's about creating jobs and brick and mortar and building expansion, et cetera. Am I missing something?
No, that's the essence that's the content of the grant. Yes.
I think Commissioner Kessler brought up an interesting point to me, and that is, does it have to be in this front corner? Or could we shift it around to the back of the building by the pool where we've got a beautiful look of our parks in an open area and a little more peaceful, tranquil environment.
You can't construct in that area because of the flood zone. There's nothing you can do off that back area,
There's not enough room to go over it? Okay.
no.
Commissioner Kessler?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, Cindy, first of all, I would love to take you on a tour just to show you like the existing elements that we're using for the outdoor, like where we store things, because I know you probably haven't seen that. So I think logistically, the equipment that we use to facilitate the outdoor is the same location as if we were to construct this in terms of our members having access to equipment. So that part of it, I would feel certain that we wouldn't have members like walking through the cardio room to go outside. They might check in and then have to go through that way, but at least everything would be set up. So I would just welcome to take you on a tour. I took Commissioner Sente on a tour to kind of show her too as well.
Don't they need
But-
to use those doors to get out to the area?
Use that one door, yeah.
Right,
yeah.
so you'll have
And
people
another
in and
thing-
out through that door.
Yeah, and what we've been doing like with our outdoor classes now is people pull up in that parking lot and we have our instructors, we give them the capability to sign people in right there, and check people in.
Well, that's not, I mean, we were doing what we had to do in this to get through it. I guess I'm looking at it, now we're building something, so let's make sure the flow is the most ideal flow that we want. And if the flow is to get them to electronically check in, to go in, walk, I mean, I guess I would want to make sure we're thinking about the whole flow that we need and not just what we did to get through it.
I think when you see the schematic design, you'll see, because the parking lot that we have to add as
Right.
part of the grant, it's a
I agree.
requirement, really isn't any other location on the site that we could move that to. If you just like flipped it, like let's say, let's put parking on where this intended amenity is going and you put that over on the side, now I'd still have people parking back there and how am I getting them to the front entrance? And so it just creates a little bit of a cluster there in terms of, that dynamic. So,
My last thought that I drew a blank on was, I love being outside in nature and things like that. And so, the other thing just to throw out is that we have all these wonderful parks. I mean, we could do yoga out in the park. We could go out into the community to have this experience instead of putting it confined to the building. Again, I go back to what else can we use this for? And I think tile or things like that would all be part of the grant money that we'd be doing. Do we know yet if we have to redo the whole tile around the pool?
So we've worked that into the design that we'll be showing you. So we're trying to salvage what we can, but it's becoming increasingly difficult.
So we might have to redo that tile. So then if we redo that tile, we're probably gonna wanna redo the spa area, the mat. I mean, I feel like things will keep growing, and I guess those are some of my concerns.
Sure.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sente?
I just wanted to add, since we're talking about what we think about this, that I don't say this lightly, and I know that the cost of this project is going to go up from the initial estimate, both because of the amount of time, what you know at the time, and fully executing that, because you're not doing a full schematic design, as well as the cost escalation due specifically to COVID, which we could not have planned for. But with that said, this amenity is, it's less than 5% of the facility. It is, yes, $150,000 is a lot of money, but in terms of what you could do on the inside, something else with it, it's relatively low in terms of construction budget price. I think for me, to give our community something that they can see from, well, one, it's usable space, but I'm just saying this first, to look at the outside of the building and give it some appeal, so it adds a presence to the building, is a nice thing to do in addition. But then to give people who want to work out outside, who haven't worked outside in the past, and that would be a nice option for them. I think people are realizing, certainly, I mean, there's hot yoga inside. You're at 100 degrees inside. I'd rather be 100, not 100 degrees outside, but you know what I'm saying. I think we're really going to be able to use it more than just a few months here and there. I think it would be a really, as an active fitness user, and I'm not trying to compare with Commissioner Kessler because she's probably the, well, all of us use the fitness centers a lot, but certainly you do, Cindy. And so, but I do too, and I think it would be a draw for me. So I'm very much in support of it, for those reasons. And I think, and respectfully, I think we also have that in our capital budget.
I think just to back up in terms of the port in place, as I know, and Tom, I'm sure you'll get that number, but just kind of comparing it to what we do with playgrounds right now on a cost per square foot, you're probably looking at a minimum of about 200,000 that it would add to the project, if you wanted to add that surface.
So the value of that project being, 153 sounds like a lot, but if you were to build it independently and attach it to your building, it's gonna be more than 153. It's just the continuum of the structure. It's, the ability to take what you have and roll it outside. And it gives you this opportunity to add it to this portion of the building in a cost-effective way from an economy of scale perspective. But yeah, when you start adding specialty surfaces like that, that just offset the number, and you're probably not far off the whole number of what you guys know it as. You see it right now. And I think the barrier outside, even though we're gonna have plantings, is a very good thing from an architectural perspective. You wanna control things, and you don't want people filtering into your recreation center. So that would be a good piece to add to it. That'll add a little more cost, but cost effective.
Any other questions for Tom regarding the outside space? Okay, we can move on.
Excellent. So I'm here to ask for any questions that you might have on our contract, and I don't know, Jeff, if you want to segue that a little bit, because you had some recommendations on that.
Yeah, you have it before you tonight that, Williams's proposed letter of agreement. It lays out their base services. There's some specialty services, which I did not include in terms of, having some action on behalf of the board tonight. That includes like interior design, there's some IT things. Tom and I have talked about that off-site, just, I think there's some things we can do in-house that we don't need to include in the particular basic service. I would tell you that his price here is the same price that they had listed in their application over 2 years ago. So they did not raise their fees at all. They held to that 9%, which is what was in our budget when we did the application for the park grant. So I appreciated that, based on just their escalation. If you would look at it, it would probably be at least probably 1% or 2% higher. So I talked very candidly about them, about our relationship, and that should be worth something. This room you're sitting in, they did, just 4 or 5 years ago with the building, and so they were amenable to that. We reviewed it, James and I have reviewed it very closely about things that we feel like we can still continue to do in-house. So we support, from a staffing standpoint, we support the proposal that's before you.
All right, could I have a motion to adopt William Bark, Commissioner Sente?
Sorry.
Okay.
There's just one question I had. Tom, it mentioned several reimbursables. Would your mileage coming to the facility is charged to us just for meetings?
I mean, we could talk about that. That doesn't have to be a deal breaker. That's our standard protocol language that we put in there. And it's only travel miles usually that we charge. So, again, I wouldn't make that anything that's gonna make or break a contract. The bigger ones are the printing.
Right.
And we try to do everything digital, so as much as we can get everything digital, it's in all our best interest to keep the printing down.
Thank you.
Could I have a motion to adopt William Architect's proposal for basic fees for architectural services in the amount of $274,500.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
discussion.
Is it,
Commissioner Robbins.
is it 274.5 or is it 305,800?
I think the 305,800 is the specialty service.
Specialty
Includes the
services,
specialty
which I-
fees, which we were taking out.
Oh, I see, okay.
We did not.
It could be added back in later if we choose we need that service, but what we're doing right now is just the basic fee of $274,500. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Meline,
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler,
Yes.
Commissioner Senti,
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins,
Yes.
President Dorhoeffer.
Yes. Tom, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item B, revised board policy 1.05, standing and temporary committees on the board. Give me 2 seconds and we'll be there. Standing and temporary committees of the board. Can I have a motion to approve board policy 1.05?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Kessler,
Yes.
Commissioner Senti,
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins,
Yes.
Commissioner Meline.
Yes.
President Dorhoeffer.
Yes, next item on the agenda, Village of Vernon Hills request to use Century Park for July 4th. Could I have a motion to approve the village's request?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Senti,
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins,
Yes.
Commissioner Meline.
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler,
Yes.
President Dorhoeffer.
Yes, before moving on to the next agenda, I'm going to go back to the welcome to visitors and guests, public comment period. We have someone who would like to address the board. If you could step to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Deborah Smith, and I live at 139 Windsor Drive in Vernon Hills. I was here a couple of years ago asking you for pickleball courts. And so first of all, it's so nice to see all of your faces from here down. And it's nice to have Commissioner Sente back in office, so it's nice to see you. But anyway, I'm here on behalf of all the people who have played pickleball now. We love the pickleball courts, they are beautiful. Commissioner Meline has a group of about 24 people that he plays with. I play with a group of about 71 people on our WhatsApp. And there are people from, first of all, everywhere coming to play pickleball on our beautiful courts. And I just want to, I'm just here to say thank you. And we so appreciate it, and we appreciate all that you have done in keeping the facility open. Even, I was wearing masks playing pickleball this winter. And so I just wanted to say thank you. We have so enjoyed it, and that's all.
Thank you so very much.
Yeah, really
We
nice.
greatly appreciate it.
You betcha. Thank you.
You gonna play at the new one, the new court?
Pardon?
Are you gonna play at the new courts?
Oh, and also I heard about the new courts. Thank you for those too. I've heard it as a rumor, but it's true.
Last year, we're putting in 2 tennis courts and 2 pickleball courts.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, thank you for all you do, all of you, and so appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
All right, next on the agenda, reports and communications, Executive Director Jeff Fugere. Jeff?
Okay. Hard to pass up. That was very nice
Yeah.
of Deborah to come and do that. Yeah, she's a very active member of
She
our
is.
community and very supportive, so. So let me just kind of segue to that you brought up the Lashin project. We're kind of at this stalemate. We're waiting on fencing. And so there's been a delay for, whatever reason. They're scheduled to, after the 5th of July, I think, they're supposed to come back. And so once they get the post and the fencing in, then things will go a lot more rapid. We can get the coating down. It's going to be a green and blue, similar colors of what you have out at Deer Path. And so we expect, by at least probably weather pending, by mid-July, we should have that facility open and ready to go. We got some additional walkway and some signage we got to get in, but it looks really nice. When you go out there, if you get a chance to go out and just look, it looks a lot larger than it once was for some reason, just the expansiveness of it, but it's the same dimensions as what pre-existed, so. We have a park tour scheduled for this Saturday at 11:30. We're going to meet at Century Park Boat Dock. The weather looks a little questionable, so it may be something that I'm texting you maybe on either tomorrow night or maybe early Saturday morning. I already was just at dinner when talking with both Commissioner Kessler and Commissioner Robbins. They're in agreement that, we don't want to be, this is a walking tour. If it's raining, it's probably not, I don't know how you feel.
Whatever.
Yeah, Mike, okay.
Umbrellas work, but I also understand,
Yeah. So I'll keep you posted on that. The July 4th event this year, just for the public's view, is just going to be fireworks. So as you've already probably heard through the community, there's no parade. There's no concert in the park. There's no vendors in the park that are going to be selling anything. So it's strictly for our residents to come out and they can use the park. We'll be working with the village in terms of setting up. There will be portable restrooms on the property. We will have garbage cans on the property. We'll have one of our full-time park staff members out there to assist with the village staff in terms of any cleanup that, fully it depends on the weather, but, people love our fireworks and they're gonna come out, I'm sure, in droves. We have a special meeting, as you know, on Monday, July 12th. And that was pulled together really because we got to get this schematic design advanced so that we can kind of keep the project moving and stay on target. So I would expect, at least a week before the meeting that you'll have a packet from me that'll have the design. It'll have a budget detail with Williams and Camosi putting together all the construction. So you'll have a breakdown on all the different amenities that are looking to be put in. And then we can have just open conversation. I would plan on at least a couple hours that night. It's a 5 o'clock start. We're not bringing food, so eat beforehand if you want. We'll probably have some snacks, but that's the best opportunity, I think, for you guys at this stage to ask a lot of questions and really look at, the overall cost that's going to be uncovered. James and I will both be here just representing the staff that night, so we're happy to help with any questions on that, too. On the agenda tonight, too, that's not there is our ADA transition plan, and just President Doerhofer will just have to make a public statement regarding that. We'll do that later this evening. We're underway right now with doing that plan and just assessment. We do that every decade. Lastly, and you may have seen some things with the village, if you get some of their little profiles they push out, they're doing a time capsule at Hawthorne Mall, and it's for 50 years. So I don't know what that would be, like, what's 50 years from now, 2071 or something, or that they're gonna unveil. And so they've asked us as another public body, if you have any thoughts on things you'd like to see included in this capsule, we're open. Cheryl's kind of spearheading things for us. We're gonna do a mask, one of our Park District masks. We're talking about maybe a camp T-shirt, maybe a publication, maybe a Park District brochure, because probably in 50 years from now, everything will just be digital. Or it'll be dropped in your house by a drone or something. But if you have any ideas, we have till, I think it's July 19th that they'd like to have some. So feel free to shoot me an email, or you can shoot Cheryl an email with thoughts on, what you'd like to see, if there's anything different. Obviously, we want to keep it not like a big bulky thing that can't be really buried, but I'm sure. Yeah.
A
So,
replica of the gold medal award we're gonna get?
that would conclude my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Commissioner Robbins?
Jeff, I know we have a no grilling policy right now in our parks because of the drought. I don't know how that's going to change in the next few days, but if it doesn't change, would the fireworks have any effect on this drought?
So our weather pattern shows that we're supposed to get significant amounts of rain before Monday. Our plan was before the rain, the fire department and our department and Public Works, we were gonna just soak the island every day for like 7 or 8 days and try to get the grass to start growing. It probably will look kind of funny because everything else would have been brown and dead and you have this green lush island. But the fire department is really just worried about the 60-foot diameter from the launch point. They're not concerned about if a firework will go astray, because by the time it hits, it's done. And then it's on an island, so surrounded by water, so they weren't too concerned about that. So that was our plan all along.
Any other questions for Executive Director Fugero? Thank you very much. Next up, Finance and HR Superintendent Marla DeSico. Marla?
Evening, nice to see you all again. I just wanted to point out that our May 31st balance for the kindergarten building operating balance is 0. So we really wanted to have that complete in this fiscal year, so it wouldn't bleed into another year, and then we have to include it in the audit, and it just makes our financial reporting much cleaner. So we are very happy to have that completed as of May. End of the year, May, very difficult year. We did have a small loss, but I will say it was less than 0.5% of the budget. So I say kudos to the staff. We really controlled costs. Staff that was furloughed, reinventing programs, seeking out grants. I mean, everyone really pitched in, and for a year where we had very little programming or reinvented programming, I think we did a great job. And we were also budgeting just blind. I mean, we really weren't sure what was going to happen. So I think overall the year ended very well. And looking at the prior year for fiscal '20, the Government Finance Officers Association has awarded us once again the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting, and that, as I said, was for financial fiscal year '20. And then finally, I just wanted to update all of you. We're excited to beginning in September. We'll be working with the HR Source on a multi-year DEI initiative, and that's going to include strategy, initiatives, goals, metrics for tracking progress, training, development of a staff DEI committee, and a district process review program that will be ongoing that will look at everything from recruitment, policies, procedures, a process of review of basically our internal operations. And that is my report, if anyone has any questions.
Any questions for Marla? Commissioner Sente?
Thank you. I was just wondering if there would be any role with that consultant and what you're doing that would be appropriate for the board. I know.
Definitely. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely
so-
the board will be included in it. Actually, Jessica and I are going to be working with HR Source prior to our kickoff meeting we actually want to have the leadership team do some advanced education and almost pre-training, because how do you determine what initiatives you want if you're not had some development on the whole subject matter, and it's a big subject matter, and I know a lot of us now have been educating ourselves, but there's a lot of information. So then in those first meetings, the whole idea is to plan what are those initiatives, and we know we want to do things like, interviews with the board or with our members so there's going to be a lot of things like that, but that's where we have to start to say what exactly do we want to do.
Thanks
But
for explaining
definitely
that,
the
because I thought there might be a strategy piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Any other questions for Marla? Thank you very much, Marla. Next item on the agenda is Recreation Superintendent Tom Ritter. Tom?
Good evening a year later. It's nice to be back with programs and some normalcy. It's nice to see you guys again. We do have a lot going on, obviously, it's summertime. For our residents that may recall, we do an annual lacrosse tournament at multiple locations, but it's always been anchored at Deer Path Park. We didn't do it last year, and in 2019, based on feedback from a lot of our residents, we reallocated where a lot of the games were played and only scheduled 4 fields at Deer Path because of the impact it had on parking in the neighborhoods. So that is happening again in 2021. So next week, Monday through Wednesday, the 28th through the 30th, the lacrosse tournament will be taking place at Deer Path, Vernon Hills High School, just west of the football field, as well as VHEC. There are less teams this year, probably the one and only time he'll have fewer teams, just because of how spring sports scheduling has gone. Some people are not playing this year. But just so the residents know, there should be minimal impact on parking, just like there was minimal impact in 2019. So we are looking forward. This will be the 11th time we've hosted this tournament for the high school recruiting. And I wanted to thank Vernon Hills High School because we do use a lot of that field space. It's very valuable to us. It was very nice for them to let us use it. Tomorrow night will be our first movie in the park. We don't have to sit in cars in the parking lot like we did this past year. They'll actually be in the grass. They can picnic. Hopefully it's dry. But tomorrow night will be Tom and Jerry movie. Probably start around 8:30, I would say, with darkness. For those that don't know, it's free movies in the park, so people can just come out and picnic if they want, just watch the film. We do have some basic snacks available, soda, water, chips. People want to purchase them on site. And then our July movie is on the 30th of the month, and that will be the movie Doolittle. Another thank you to School District 73, to Hawthorne. Our summer camp plan this year was similar to last year, but with some growth. It was just a month ago, we were still in phase 4, which is the same phase we were in last summer. So it was really a lot of last minute adjustments we had to make. But we're hosting our day camps here at the Sullivan Center, at Peterson Park, as well as Town Line Elementary School. So the fact that they're letting us use that school for one of our camps, granted, we're outside most of the time, but still on their property, it's much appreciated. All those day camps are basically full. There's just a couple spots available for the next session. And at the end of summer, there's a 1 or 2 week window where you start to lose some people. They take their vacations. They just want to get ready for school. We do what we call Last Blast Camp. It's just a week or two of extra camp. It's always quite popular, and we do have about another 100 kids signed up for that. So summer's going well from the camp perspective. Our farmers market started last week. It's Thursdays, right now actually, from 3 to 7 over at Century Park South. Not a great day weather-wise today. If there's anyone out there or anyone who knows anyone who's interested in participating, we are still looking for more vendors. Very common cliche we hear in every industry right now is we don't have staff, we don't have staff. So a lot of these people who want to work our event just don't have the people to work it. So if anyone's interested, we are very receptive to ideas to expand on our current market. We have room. July 10th and 11th, a little bit later than normal, we'll be hosting our 11th family campout, the Family Aquatic Center. Despite the river being closed in the back, the grassy area is still the main hub for where all the tents are set up. So after we close, people come in, they set up their tents. We do a campfire with s'mores in one of the grassy areas. They get to swim privately, just the camping group, for about 3 hours. And at dusk, we show a movie. I think he said he's showing A Bug's Life. Seems appropriate for an outdoor movie. And then lights out. And then the morning before they leave, they pack up and we have a breakfast for everybody. So right now we have about 30 tent reservations, which is probably 125 people. A little bit lower than normal, but still a very solid number. So it probably will grow as we approach it. So if anyone's interested in camping locally, they can still sign up. A new event that we would like to become a seasonal event. We'd like to do it a few times a year. But this first one, this inaugural one, scheduled for July 13th, is a Have a Laugh comedy showcase. We have some very high-end comedians, very reputable comedians coming in for, it's a 21 and over. It's not a family event. It's adults only. That's why it's contained in the pool area where you can't hear everything that's being said and not everybody can just sneak in and watch. It should be a nice environment in the back of the facility there. So that is, again, that's July 13th from 6 to 8:30. First hour is just to come in. There will be beer and wine. There will be food available. And it's $30 per ticket. And again, the entertainment includes Rocky Laporte, who, as my notes say here, he is a top 5 finalist on NBC's Last Comic Standing. And he also had his own show on Comedy Central. Our MC, Richard Label, I recognized him the second I saw him. He was also a part of Second City. So there's big talent here, a lot of Zanies people, a lot of Chicago clubs. So if anyone wants a night out without the kids, registration is currently open for that. So happy to say Rib Fest is back. So Little Bear Rib Fest will be taking place for the 10th time with a 1-year hiatus. So for those who are watching, August 20 and 21, we'll be hosting Little Bear Rib Fest. This year we're going with a lineup that's, it's all themed, I shouldn't say all, the main acts are themed around Zydeco. We had a Zydeco band in 2018 that was very successful, and we decided to do that for both nights. So the lineup for Friday, the opening act is the Chicago Rhythm and Blues Kings, followed by Curly Taylor and Zydeco Trouble. We did not have Curly Taylor before. And then Saturday's lineup, we start with Kevin Purcell and the Nightburners, who was here in 2019. Local band, rock, blues, very well received, very reputable, local. They probably will draw just in themselves for this area. Kevin opens, followed by another Chicago blues band, Mississippi Heat. And then the headliner is the one who's coming back from 2018. I always say it wrong. It looks like Dwayne Dopsy, but I think it's pronounced Doopsy. Dwayne Doopsy and the Zydeco Hellraisers will be here. So should be a fun night, and we will still have beer, wine, rib vendors, bourbon bar. Big thank you to the Village this year. They're one of our primary sponsors for this event, in addition to them providing a fireworks show on Saturday night, so that should really be a nice kick up for this event. Very, very nice. And finally, our Family Aquatic Center is open. Again, it's another one. This was a challenge for us this year because naturally people just want everything to be open, open, open. And, you know, as I said a few minutes ago, as of mid-May, we were still in the same position we were last summer, 50 people in a pool. And then we were able to put it 100. And then boom, we hit that phase 5. But to shift gears and open the full facility and hire another 30 or 40 lifeguards in a matter of a couple of weeks wasn't feasible for us. So that's why the back of the facility is not open, but the front half is fully open. People can roam where they want. There's no restrictions anymore. We did reservations so we can control the attendance. That's not an issue. So it's all daily admission. Just come in and pay $5, significantly lower than normal, obviously, since we don't have the full facility open. And we're open through August 15th. Hours, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10:15 to 5, Tuesday and Thursday, noon to 5, and the weekends from 10:15 to 7. So that's my report, unless there's any questions.
Any questions for Tom? Commissioner Kessler?
Just a quick question. On the lacrosse tournament, I know in the past there's issues of parking on streets and things like that. I'm sure you addressed that. What is the plan with that?
Yeah, so in 2019, when we took we reduced the number of games at Deer Path Park, that naturally pulled cars away from that neighborhood. But in addition to that, the tournament host forced all of the parking to be at Glacier. And so thank you to Glacier, they are providing their parking lot as the primary parking for Deer Path. The other locations, they'll just park at that location. So the parking issue at Deer Path will naturally go away by less fields, less players, but also there's a clearly defined place to park for all the people that are participating. The only people that park in Deer Path, they're just going through Deer Path to get to Deer Path Park, where they control it for officials and tournament sponsors, things of that nature. But we still leave it open for people who are playing pickleball, and baseball, tennis, softball.
Thank you.
Yep, welcome.
Thank you, Tom. Next item on the agenda, Park Superintendent James Kim.
Good evening. Just want to start with something that Commissioner Robbins mentioned, that right now we are temporarily prohibiting open flames in the form of grilling in our parks. Although it doesn't look like it now, last week was really hot and dry, and so we felt that it was a warranted decision based on some data we gathered from the U.S. Drought Monitoring and other weathering agencies. We are looking to reinstall and open our grills by the 4th of July if these weather patterns continue. I don't see our issue why we should continue to have that kind of ban. Just want to remind everyone that fireworks are not allowed on our parks besides the show going on at Century Park, and I would just ask that people abide by that. An update on our park trees. Staff are putting together a schedule for removing many of our dead and dying trees, mainly Austrian pines and crab apples. Both species were planted 25 to 32 years ago at the same time, so they're all declining at the same time. So our goal this year is to really remove dead, dying trees and try to keep the trees that we planted the last 5 years alive. So if there's questions about why we're not replanting new trees this year, it's really the weather, and there aren't many trees to be had. A lot of people planted during COVID, and the nurseries just can't keep up with demand. So trees are really immature to put on the ground, especially with this kind of weather. Some project updates. Sugar Creek Playground. We could expect possibly removal next week. We are expecting the playground to be delivered July 1st or 2nd. The contractor would like to start installing right away, so our team is going to start removing the playground next week, and hopefully will be done in 3 to 4 weeks, to weather depending. That playground will have pour-in-place rubber surfacing instead of wood chips. Century Park Playground, we're scheduled for delivery the week of August 9th. We'll have more updates, most likely in the July board meeting. That park is also being converted from wood chips to synthetic turf. Because we've been putting a lot of pour in place between Sullivan Center, Hawthorne Club recently, and Sugar Creek, we thought we'd mix it up a little bit and put synthetic turf down. And then we'll also have some site improvements scheduled as well. Our kitchen project over at Lakeview Center is going well. They started demolition. They have completed some plumbing portions, and we hope to have full completion and use of the new kitchen sometime mid-August. There's going to be about a 4 to 5 week down period where the cabinet maker needs to come and do a field measurement and then start making the cabinets. And lastly, not everyone noticed while they were driving in, the Sullivan Center sign is up on the gym wall facing Aspen. It is not complete. They had to stop work because there was some lightning. So they drilled the holes and they got up what they can, and they're going to come back tomorrow or next week to really straighten it out and make it final. That concludes my report. If there's any questions.
Any questions for James? Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda, Marketing and Communications Manager, Cheryl Buman. Cheryl?
Good evening, everybody. I'm happy to say our NRPA Gold Medal video was completed on time. It's submitted to NRPA, and now we just wait, and we'll see what September brings us, so we'll all keep positive thoughts. Our fall program guide is in its first draft stage. This is the first guide utilizing our new registration software, ActiveNet. And there is a program now where all of the information that the staff puts into ActiveNet gets downloaded right into our design software. So it's the first time we did it. It went well. So that's a little bit of a time saver for our graphic designer on staff. This guide will be online only. This is our last guide that we'll be doing only online. We will be sending out a postcard in early July announcing when the guide will be posted to our website. We'll begin with print, I believe, with our winter 22 guide. We've done a lot of I've done a lot of email marketing. I did check last year, and our subscribers have gone up 65% over the past year. So we're at a little over 21,000 subscribers. So that's a telltale that people like to get information. Now, again, we don't have all 21,000 opening every email, but we do have a higher than average rate for every email that's opened. So we'll continue to reach as many people as we can with information about our district. Our website is current. We've done a lot of updates to the Family Aquatic Center, to our camps, for Lakeview Fitness, just trying to keep it up to date. Cassie went out and took some new photos of our parks with new playgrounds that James let us know, and that's all updated. So hopefully we'll continue to keep that up, and we're anxious to put our Lashin new park on there in a couple weeks. Let's see what else we have. So our farmers market. So that is being well promoted. We have all of our banners, our yard signs, our sale flags are all around our community. Keep bringing awareness to our farmers market. And we're happy to say our Time to Play program, which we renamed during the pandemic, Time to Play to Go. We're taking away our to go. We're going back in the parks. So July will be our first time back in the parks. Just as a time to play, we'll be making some wind chimes out of little pots, I guess I should say. So we don't have an exact date yet. We're watching the weather, but we're going back in the park. So Cassie and I are happy about that. We always enjoy that. All of our summer day camps and our specialty camps do have direct registration from our website. So we've added a new tab just for all of our specialty. I think we had 21 specialty camps. And by that, I'm meaning our sports camps, our art camps, anything that is not a day camp. Just recently this week, we sent out an email for all of our sports camps, and all of them have already reached their minimum. So now we're just trying to get more kids who are interested that we can fit, but they all will be running. So that's really a great thing after the past year that we went through. Social media is going strong. The Village of Vernon Hills have been really a great partner with us, that they are sharing our posts, and they've also asked us to send them information that they can post on their site. So we really appreciate the Village helping us out with our social media. And really that is it for now. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions for Cheryl? Commissioner Kessler.
So my question is there any trend of going truly to virtual, digital brochures versus always going back to print? I mean, do you think people are getting used to the digital? I know back in the day, everything was print, people waited for that and they would go through it. But I'm just wondering if things are changing, and is there any kind of hybrid or any other trend that's going on with that?
There's a lot of talk with that within the Park District marketing people. There are a couple districts, and I only really know of two that are gonna continue to go, just online. But most of them are going back to, the book, because people like to have it. They like to flip through it. They like to keep it in their family rooms. So there's been a lot of discussion. There are some districts that went only, even before the pandemic. They went just online, and then they went back to print. So as a staff, we've discussed it quite a bit, and we've decided to go back with our winter, and we can just analyze it and send out surveys as time goes on. But from what we've gathered is that people would like it back in print.
Okay, thank you.
I-
I would be curious to
make
keep exploring
yeah.
that and seeing if there's other things to do. It just seems like a lot of trees in there.
Well, one of the what I did discover is even though the kids were not in school, I did work with the school district, and we did continue our school newsletter. But what I did is I created one, and I sent it to the communications person over at District 73, and they included it. They do a twice monthly newsletter to their families, and so they were more than happy to include anything I wanted to say, offer the kids and families. And so I hope to continue that, and maybe, we haven't discussed this, but possibly eliminate the paper newsletter, because it was so well received going out through the, and I believe it probably reached more families going directly to their inboxes.
Thank you.
That goes.
Commissioner Meline?
Yeah, my only comment on that is, I mean, you know me, I've pushed digital for a long time, but I think we have to be careful, because from a demographic standpoint, we need to make sure that we're inclusive. And there are certain portions of the demographic that if you went strictly digital, you would make it very hard for them to be able to sign up. You know, you get people that just aren't tech savvy at all ages. And also demographic when it comes to income. There are families that don't have internet at home, and they don't have the ability to just jump online anytime they want. And so I think, as much as I would, you know, like I said, I'm a strong advocate of digital. I think we need to be at least cognizant of that before we just get rid of paper altogether. You know, there might be some hybrid systems or something. Come pick up a brochure rather than mailing them to every single family in our district. But I think we need to at least make sure we always be aware that we need to stay inclusive.
Agreed, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Cheryl.
You're welcome.
Next item on the agenda, Facility Manager Lacey Velasquez.
Good evening. From a facility standpoint, staff are really encouraged. We've seen an increase of over 200 visits over the course of the month of May from the month of April. Seeing a lot of new faces and a lot of returning faces who had been gone for a long time. With the announcement of Phase 5, we were able to open up amenities that had remained closed over the course of the pandemic. So we now have our spa area open, which was something that was of high demand among a lot of our members. We also have seen a really large increase in lap swim since we reopened the facility last summer. And we were limited to one swimmer per lane, and since the announcement of Phase 5, we were able to expand to 2 swimmers per lane, which has been well received. Our facility hours are going to be expanding as of the week of July 5th. So during the week, we will be opening at 5:30 a.m. We currently open at 6 a.m. And we will be opening on Sundays from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. And we'll be closed on July 4th. From a programming standpoint, beginning July 1st, we've had some virtual classes that were taught by instructor Ann McKenna, who up until the end of this month have been at an additional cost. They've been a paid program for Non-members and our active members were able to participate at a discounted rate. And as of July 1st, that will now be included in the membership, so all of our membership will be able to participate if virtual is still a desire for them. Personal training is still in high demand, and we are actually looking to add 1 or 2 more trainers, so we are hiring for that position right now. For memberships, we currently still have the summer education pass going on, which continues through July 1st. And for aquatics, we finished up our first 2-week session of swim lessons, and this past Monday began the second 2-week session. So those are ongoing and have been going very well. And that concludes my report. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Lacey? Executive Director Fugro?
Yes, so this is Lacey's first meeting, so I just wanted to recognize, first board meeting official. I know she sat in on one back when we were recognizing Commissioner Baloo, but didn't have a chance, so I wanted to just,
So are we supposed to ask her some hazing questions? I remember being down in Springfield one time and they had somebody and they asked him like, how many train cars are there in Illinois? Because he was sponsoring some bill about
I'm
trains.
sure you remember that, Commissioner Sente. But I also wanted to introduce, if you didn't, Victoria Price is with us. She's assisting. So you may have seen Ben, who'd been with us, one of Randy's IT assistants, and so Ben's going away to school in about a month. So Victoria is joining the IT team, and she's got a good interest in technology, and so we just wanted to welcome her tonight
awesome.
to help out. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is, I'm sorry, Commissioner Kessler.
I can't let Lacey get off that easy. So I know you've been working hard at getting people to come back. Do we have any idea of the percentage of people I know the number of visits are increasing, but what about the actual people renewing? I think you said everyone was being reactivated.
Yes.
So do we have, and you don't have to respond now, but I guess I'd be curious to know, how close are we getting back to our numbers where we were?
I definitely would have to look into it because we're processing a lot of paperwork every day with memberships and just changes, and there's a lot of changes happening to memberships across the board. So, but that would be something I would be able to provide for you.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, Commissioner Committee Reports and Communication. I got a couple of announcements. First of all, the Park District is in the process of updating its American with Disabilities Act, ADA transition plan. This plan is a formal document that outlines the Park District's compliance with ADA and is updated every 10 years. Comments from the public are welcome and may be submitted to Executive Director Jeff Fugro at vhparkdistrict.org. Again, that's JEFFF@vhparkdistrict.org. Please submit any comments or questions prior to August 1st, 2021. The updated plan will be presented to the Park Board of Commissioners for its approval at the August 26, 2021 regular Park Board meeting. The second item is the July 22nd Park Board meeting will be held at Hartman Park at 290 Oakwood Drive at 6 p.m. Refreshments will be served prior to the meeting, and we hope to see you there. We have received no board correspondence at this time, so Commissioner comments. Commissioner Moline.
I don't usually comment too much, but I want to thank staff, with things all finally opening up for the most part. I know it's been a difficult year for a lot of different reasons. And I just want to say thank you very much to Jeff and all your staff and how well you've handled things and how well things have stayed smooth for the most part. And you've done a great job, so thank you.
Commissioner Robbins.
Nothing this evening.
Commissioner Sente.
No.
Commissioner Kessler.
I just want to add, kind of along Mike's line, is, Tom, I liked your report. I liked hearing all the programs we're starting to do and some of the new ones you put in. So exciting to attend some things.
And just to echo the comment, welcome back. It's good to see everyone again. With that, can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler,
Yes.
Commissioner Senti,
Yes.
Commissioner Maline,
Yes.
President Dorhofer.
Yes, we are adjourned.